Hello.
Hello, hello. Hello, world.
Oh, wait. It's not doing, because I need to do full screen here. What's happening here? And now my hotkeys don't work anymore. Okay, let's try that again. Okay.
Did it work?
We'll get this eventually, you know. Yes, it did work. No. I had to be full screen or it doesn't show us. It just shows the screen. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Sasha and the Cat.
Hello, hello. Today we're talking about passion. My favorite.
I wanted to wear... Bam!
Oh my God, I should put mine on.
Yes, go put it on. Go do it now. We are back at it again today with the passion behind your business. And this week is Galentine's Day / Valentine's Day, even though the two are on different days, if you didn't know that. Oh my gosh, look at that headband.
I don't know if they'll fit in my frame. Hopefully they will, but
I'll like scrunch down. Got some avocado this morning.
Oh, nice.
Basic.
No, it's perfect. So passion. So today we're talking about passion and your business, which everyone knows passion is like one of the top three. I won't say number one, but it's, you know, top three, I would say. If not number one for me. But I think it's oftentimes a thing that is hard to stay on top of or stay connected to, or maybe you're too connected to it and not connected to the other business elements. So it's kind of just a hard relationship dynamic.
Yeah, so I think in the past we've talked about how you could, like, there are many reasons to start a business, but and then, like you said, this is foreign to Sasha and Kat Leia, but some people start a business to make money.
Yeah.
What is that? But I think over the years, and then the other people start businesses because they have a passion for something or they like something. Okay. But I think over the years, Sasha and I have learned to embrace the business side of it more without losing the passion.
For sure.
Or realizing maybe that avenue isn't for us because of the lack of passion. I think what really puts you to the test, though, is, we can dive into other things later, but I guess my initial opinion on it is I think people are afraid to put a business side to their passion because they think they'll lose the passion. But to me, I'm like, was there enough passion to begin with?
Yeah.
Or are you just unfamiliar with the business side of it that you spend so much time on it when you do need to focus on it?
Yeah. I think it relates to relationships, which is part of why we're talking about it for Valentine's Day week-ish. Because it's a balance where, to some extent, every relationship, whether it's with a business or in a business or with a person, it's like passion, but also like an agreement or like a commitment, like the more rational side of it, I guess. But yeah, I could see how some people would be too involved in the business element to where there's like no passion and it shows to their customers and to other people. And then that kind of like would offset sales and growth and stuff for that business. Even if it was like a well-paying business that they started. But then if they're like too in the passion, then they might not be thinking of ways to scale or ways to grow or ways to kind of like maximize profit or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I wonder, I mean, obviously, a healthy balance of both is key here. But I wonder if you can get further with just having passion or just having the business. Like, which
Like one or the other.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you only had one of them, which one would take you further?
Well, that brings me to my article. I just found it through entrepreneur.com, so it's a trusted source for me, but it is a little outdated, but I still think it's relevant. But it's kind of just saying how to stay passionate about your business, like how to stay as passionate about your business as when you started. So obviously it mentions to always stay connected to the why of like why you started your business, because that's typically the passion reason, typically. And that's what kind of inspires you and everyone around you, and what gets other people excited about it too, and kind of like a little more involved and invested in it. And then the other thing they mention is to fall in love with a problem. And I know that's like a huge thing in entrepreneurship, where it's like, what problem are you solving with your business? So I think it's just highlighting that like you're not necessarily in love or passionate about maybe the product you created or the specific like element of it or the money of it, but it's more like what problem are you solving and how passionate are you about solving that problem. And I think that would like help you kind of grow in your field, but also like show to others that you are in it for like the right reasons. And then there's another thing that they mentioned, which I thought was interesting, is don't let the business of running a business get in the way. So I guess that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Where I feel like it's hard to kind of find that balance of the two, and being able to successfully like do both. And that's why I think it is nice to have a partnership with a business, because at least you might have one person that's more passionate and one person that's more focused on the business side of things, and kind of like the grit work, which is what they mentioned. But there's also like, you can find more efficient ways of running the business, either by outsourcing or by hiring or by like specializing or by just using programs or software that helps cut back on the time you're spending on that specific like gritty activity in the business side, so that you can still return to like the passion part of it and like why you started it. And they were kind of highlighting too that a lot of customers are typically supporting that business because of your passion and how much it shows. And I do think that's true, especially in today's world with like social media and how open everyone is with sharing and like involving others, because you're able to show people a little bit more about yourself than just your product or your business. And it was saying here, entrepreneur, blah, 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 describes the why as a purpose, cause, or belief. Why do you get out of bed in the morning? So people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So passion is your why, and it will differentiate you from others. Without it, you put your business at risk. Fuel your why early and often, first thing. So I guess according to this article, they're saying passion is the key. Yeah.
Well, I think I just want to like clarify, I guess like now that we've been in it and we've seen, well, for me, I think this happens a lot with crafters, and I feel like this happened with me in the beginning, which is we focus on the how instead of the why, and we think that and that's how we start because we like crafting. But that's not the solution. There's no problem posed there and there's no solution, you know?
Right.
And so in the long run, like I was having this issue last year where it was like, I like crafting, but I'm not this like, that's not my brand. Like I'm not a crafter, like, you know, where, oh, ask me for any little gadget and I'm going to make it. You know,
Right.
I like getting people to celebrate is the why, which I didn't even notice until last year, really. Like,
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's interesting about the why is I feel like entrepreneurs don't fully know because they're thinking about everything. Like they are also thinking about the money thing, and they're also thinking about the growth and the team and the community and all the different things that oftentimes you kind of like lose sight of the why, or you don't even know how to put it into like a sentence, which kind of goes back to what we talked about before of like an elevator pitch. Like I feel like that's where you should insert that sentence of your why or like your passion part just to like stick it in there somewhere, but not make it like the whole thing. Because yeah, you're right. It's like there's a lot that we're passionate about, probably. So it's like, how do you know specifically what it is?
Right. And like you were saying in the article, let's say you do figure it out, or whatever, maybe you don't, which is even worse, but let's say you do figure it out and the why is getting people to celebrate, but when people are like passionate about their business, they feel like they just have, it's their baby, right? So they have to hold on to everything, which I do think is the part where you're saying, oh, you have to outsource business stuff if you're not as strong, but they're afraid to do that because they want to hang on to it all. But really, I feel like they don't notice that that's actually holding them back from pursuing the why or the passion more because they're trying to do everything about it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I think it is helpful then if you have a partnership, because then one person could do all that stuff while the other person could focus on like the passion and showing it to customers, like showing it to the world, like putting the why out there.
Yeah, that's a great article. I like that article.
There's even like, I just thought of too, like what if someone is the passion person, but they don't know how to express it? Like put it out there. Because I feel like that's a key thing too, where it's like, you got to show that you're passionate about the why. You know what I mean?
Right. Like that should always be your main, yeah, like you were saying with the elevator pitch, like you should always be showcasing why. I mean, right. I also think it's like, that's the only part that's relevant to them. Like the story behind the why is cute once they care. If you don't even like give them a reason to care, then they won't. Yeah, I guess we'll practice. I'll be practicing that this Thursday.
I know. Are you excited for your networking event?
I'm like excited just to be going to something, but I'm nervous because the market here is so different. Like in Miami, it's such a competitive hospitality industry, meaning like it's like a freaking, like a, what is one of those things called where the chickens are fighting? It's like literally like everybody's like, okay, so in Miami, to get an email for like someone that works at a certain hotel to try to like reach out to them is like, if you got it, it's you should be proud. You know, it's not just like common knowledge. It's just like, here, everyone email me. But here in Nashville, they're just so nice. So I feel like I need to practice my new approach because it's very Southern and it's very nice and people want to work with you, which actually benefits you.
Yeah, it's like a whole different culture though. That's a good point. Yeah.
So I just have to rephrase it because in Miami, if you don't say what you have to say in the first 3 seconds, then they just move on to the next cheese plate.
Yeah. Well, I also noticed in Ohio, at least, like networking or kind of just meeting people in general is totally different because in Miami, it's like you just give compliments. I'm like, that's kind of sufficient. Like, that's enough. But I noticed with like events and stuff or just doing things here, it was like not the same dynamic or like colloquial conversation that I was used to. I was kind of like, whoa.
What do they ask in Columbus? Or like
they were definitely more like interested in the business or interested in like why I started it was always like the number one thing. I don't know. I guess it depends on the event too. You know what I mean? Like I guess some people could have been more interested in the gluten-free part of it or my background with herbalism or whatever. But I feel like typically the conversations were surrounding like why I started it in the first place, which is like a long explanation. You know what I mean? There's not like a real short answer for that. Maybe there should be, but I didn't have one at the time.
Yeah.
So, because it's like, I guess that is your why. Like, why did you start the business? So yeah, it's super important. Maybe you should just practice on like how you're going to say your passion-based why.
Yeah, I mean, luckily my tagline is celebrate your everyday, which is easily leads into the why. But yeah, I was even thinking, I'm like, in Miami, if you say you have your own business, it's almost like an eye roll because everyone is starting something, but it's always unsuccessful. Like very few people make it. And
Right.
I mean, in the grand scheme of it, I guess very few people make it anyway. But in Nashville, it's more common to, like, there's so many more small businesses. So that part, they almost like don't even, like, they still pay attention to you when you're talking. Because I feel like in Miami, if I'm like, oh yeah, I have a small business, and if I don't throw in a big name, like I used to work here, that like I used to work at the Biltmore, or now I was a blah, 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 blah. They don't even keep listening. But here, I've noticed that in the beginning, I thought I had to do that. And then so I would throw in like some names, and then I'm like, nobody cared. And now I'm like, I just say I'm the owner of the Kits and Pieces, and they're still attentive. They're just like, tell me more. How can I work with you?
I know. I think it is key to start with like a name drop like that. Like, I work for this company.
Right, but that's what I think in Miami, that's crucial. But here, I almost think they think you're a little pretentious.
Or if you just started with, I am an event planner, or like I am a designer, and then followed up with like what you created within that industry.
Yes, like if you have something notable in that, not like pulling a past resource to fluff your current project. Like I would pull on past things just to be like, this is why I started my own thing, not because I don't have a job. Well, I guess to me, bring up passion is also important because with this entrepreneurial boom in America, I would say, just in America, because Thailand has been entrepreneurial since the birth of Thailand.
Right.
But I just feel like a lot of people were scrambling because they needed to make money and might have either chosen it because of money or chosen it because of the how. And I just hope that now that maybe a year has passed since anyone who started that, and if anyone sees this, just to revisit and make sure that you have the why and the passion. And it might even just be no tweaks or a minor tweak on how you view it. Just because in the long run, I feel like it's not going to grow in the way that they would want it to.
I always think of those businesses like when you go to New York and it's just like a random hole in the wall that you can tell they just bought cheap clothes and rented it out and now they sell it.
They're going to come up to you with a jacket.
Or that.
Ever bought anyone from someone with a jacket?
Yeah, no. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, that. There's no passion behind that. They definitely just wanted to like make some money in a good way. And I guess that, you know, that could still work. Because maybe you could just be passionate about making money. Like just passionate about the whole like process of all of it, or like being busy. Maybe you're just passionate about productivity.
Yeah, maybe your why is just that. I mean, I guess you're right, because we're very into we're very into creating something new. And Sasha and I constantly feel like we have to create something new. But not everybody is like that, and not what?
Every day.
Every day. Hey, we have like a problem. But yeah, not everyone is like that. And yeah, you have to know though, if you're going to be selling, basically buying from a wholesaler, and then you're going to be, or even like someone who's franchising a chain, like you're not creating anything. You like the management aspect of it.
Right.
So that could be your thing too.
Yeah. Wait, but what were you saying about, you were reading the 5 love languages thing and it mentioned something about passion, or?
So if anyone hasn't read this book, I'm just going to do a little plug in for this book here. I really like it. It's called The 5 Love Languages, and my friend who got married a few years ago, I guess her church recommended her to read that, and Sasha and I are not very big religious people, but she explained the book, and I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Then over the years, I started hearing more about this book, like the name coming up here and there, And the only reason I'm bringing up the religion aspect is because now that I'm reading it, it does reference, it does lean more towards the traditional couple, meaning a husband and a wife. And it does kind of gear towards people who are already married. That part is not really, that doesn't matter if you're not married and you read it. If anything, I think it's better if you read it when you're just dating, because nowadays we date so seriously before we even get married. So that is the only part that I want to say is a little bit dated in terms of like husband and wife. But the point gets across still. And I think that part of it is kind of timeless. And I think overall it just presents a different view on relationships, which I think we need, because we grow
Millennials
up.
are screwed.
Huh?
Millennials are screwed.
Well, I mean, I just think we grew up with, at least for me, Disney movies and all that. And I don't want to hate on those because they made me happy as a kid, you know, but it is a very like skewed view of marriage that it runs itself, you know, or that it runs on love. And it does run on love, but like, I guess the book kind of makes it feel like love is like, you know, the coal under part of a cruise ship where it's like someone still has to keep feeding it, you know, for the ship to run. Like, it's not just this thing that just plugs in endlessly.
Right.
So I think it dives into the work side of it and to consciously work on it. So the chapter that I read most recently that I thought fit in with this was called Love is a Choice. So basically, after you read about the 5 different love languages at the end of the book, it tells you that every day you wake up and you choose to love that person, which I think applies to business. Is every day you wake up and you choose to love your business. And
that's true.
And even the book talks about how, let's say Sasha's love language is words of affirmation, and I suck at that. Maybe I just suck at saying things. And I'm going to feel uncomfortable just praising Sasha all the time, but I have to keep in mind the why and say that it's because I love her and that's why I'm doing it. And in time, I'll be more comfortable, which I think is also important for business because we feel uncomfortable doing some things. Like maybe the production side of it is uncomfortable or the sales part is uncomfortable. But you just have to do it if you really care about your business. And in time, it'll feel comfortable. And I will say, just from the first episode to now, I freaking sucked with social media. And now I feel comfortable. I don't want to say I've mastered it at all, but I feel comfortable if someone asks me to post something or, you know, I need to tag this, do a poll. Like, it's more natural to me now because I've been practicing it. So just in relationships too, it's practice.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I see what you mean, where I guess having that perspective helps you get through the parts that you don't like about running a business, because there are a bunch. So it's like, not a bunch, but you know, there's a lot of like learning and doing that you weren't probably used to before. And now you have to do all of it. So yeah, I think that's a really good analogy.
I think that it's also good, and I definitely recommend it even if you're just running a business, because a marriage is something that's supposed to be, you know, 30, 40, 50 years, whatever, technically, right? And that to me is a long time. Like, and we're talking about, oh, you got to stick in with your business for 10 years. How are you supposed to stick with a person for 50 years and not expect anything to happen or working through anything, or that you just, you know, can live your life and go play with, you know, go hang with your friends and work all the time, and you think your person is just going to be fine? So to me, it's like, how are you just going to keep going on with your business but never feeding it? Like the passion side, you know? So
that's a good point. And like investing in it time-wise and effort-wise. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Especially these long commitments like marriage and a business. I think the book explains it really well about how to work on it. I feel like people know they have to work on it. Like, we all know we need to work on our relationships, but how?
Yeah.
So,
Well, find out your love language, and that's how.
yes. And then find out, I love too though, find out your love language, but also the book really emphasizes figuring out your partner's love language.
Yeah.
Which I know that doesn't really transfer to business, but, and they said it's very unlikely, side note, that two people will have the same love language. Like it's not very common, which I do think we look for when we date.
But how beautiful would that be?
I know. The book even says, if you find that person, it'll just be so easy for you. But no one's really dating someone for the same love language. That's not the first thing you look for in a person, which is why I'm like, well, people should read that early because maybe.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think my love language over time has changed. Like, I think it was different when I was younger, or different in my first relationship, second relationship, whatever. Like, I don't know. Or maybe just where I've been in life at that moment. Like, I don't know. When I learned about the different kinds and I did like little quizzes on finding mine out, I haven't read the book yet or anything, I was surprised by the result of it. Because I don't think that has been my love language my whole life. Like, I think it's a recent thing. So I was like, that's interesting. Because then you also throw in the mix of like, and this can relate to business too, where things happen in phases. Nothing's permanent. Nothing stays the same. Everything's always changing. So it's like, even if that's your love language now, you get on board with theirs, it could change in a year or two. Or like some event could happen in your life that changes yours, or like something. And you have to somehow find a way to recalibrate and like find a balance again. And I think business is like that too, where stuff externally is changing, whether it's social media or new trends or the industry itself or whatever it is that you're doing as a business. And you have to find ways to keep up with that and feed it, but also let it feed yourself. Like you can't compromise, you know, why you started the business in the first place or what your passion is, because things are changing this way. Like you also have to stay true, I guess, to your love and like your why.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the ever-changing thing is so true. And I want to say that the ever-changing thing could be internal, like you said, maybe you change, but the other thing could be maybe you didn't change and the environment changed. The people you interact with, both business-wise or personal. Like maybe, like let's say I went from Miami to Nashville, and like let's say I find out in even 6 months that Nashville just loves anything that I freaking make. Whereas Miami was just like, you make props. Like,
right.
I'm just making that up. But then all of a sudden I have to reevaluate, but not because of me, because of my surroundings. But if I stick with my passion. Yeah, I think it's very interesting and definitely and quick. It's an easy, quick read. The thing is freaking like only like 100 pages. But I already feel so different with my human, just keeping all that stuff in mind every day, you know, like I'm not even doing a ton of different things. But there's this portion in the book where the writer says, and this, I will apply this to our topic in a second, but the author, he's like, I vacuum for my wife. I try to vacuum for my wife regularly. I hate vacuuming. When I was a kid, I said, I will never vacuum again in my life once I get older, because his mom would always make him vacuum. And now he vacuums all the time because that's his wife's love language is acts of service. So he knows that makes her happy. And to me, I'm just like, that's like literally me with like cleaning up after a crafting project. Because I just know my next crafting project will hate me if I don't clean up this crafting project.
Yeah, I think we could apply it to so many things. I think what's interesting too, though, is like if it's not your love language, it's almost just not even on your radar. Like,
right?
I don't know, like because acts of service is like not for me. It's like I don't even notice if someone does something for me because I'm just like, okay, so what?
Exactly. Which someone could be doing stuff for you your whole life.
Because they love you. Yeah, and you don't even feel it or see it. That's crazy.
But that's their problem. They need to change it to your language.
Yeah.
And they say a lot of people, you know, will, because it's a tank, you have like a love tank. And if they keep doing acts of service, your tank is just going to keep being empty. And then after 10 years, you want a divorce because it's been empty for so long. But he even says, like, even after 10 years and it's been empty, if you just make the change of speaking each other's love language, it could still work out. And I was like, I like that kind of hopeful message because it's not just like, believe in love, it'll work out.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you gotta do something.
I think to some extent, some of the languages connect because I feel like, I don't know, I think, and I guess it depends on like the perspective that you're looking into when it comes to this book, because I know this book has been around forever. So I feel like a lot of people have like given different takes on it. But I remember I did like this other quiz and the results came up as quality words or something. Oh. Whereas like the first quiz was words of affirmation, which is just like compliments, praise, whatever. But then another one was quality words. And it was almost like a mixture of quality time and words, where it's like you value what the person is sharing with you and saying, or like if you're venting with the person, you value like their feedback and stuff, where it's not just like compliments, it's like actual like quality in what they're saying. And I feel like there are some love languages that kind of overlap in that sense, where like giving someone a gift could also be an act of service in a sense, or like you know, quality time could also be like spending time talking about things, and that could also be like words of affirmation. So I think there's some kind of overlap, which gives a little more hope, I guess.
There is overlap. I think the book defines it a little bit better because quality words just goes under quality time. In the book, words of affirmation are people who need instant gratification of something they just did, kind of thing, is how they kind of explain it. Whereas like that, a conversation is quality time, like because you're actively listening, whatever. It goes into like
sense. Because I feel like mine was always quality time.
You were quality time 1,000%, and so am I. And I'm like, maybe that's why we're friends. I was thinking about that when I was reading yesterday.
That's true. We speak each other's love language. I think my humans is also that, but I think in time it has changed, and so has mine. And I think, I don't know. Sometimes when I took the quiz, though, I was like, my love language is all 5 of these.
I know. Well, it does explain in the book, too, where just because you like the other things, it's more about when you don't have it, do you just feel empty? Which I think if you don't have words of affirmation, you'll just be like, eh. But you're not going to freaking go cry yourself a river.
No, and it's like if I have a word of affirmation where it's like someone gave me a compliment, but I haven't spent quality time with them, it's not going to mean anything.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's where they really try to get you to define it, where Chris thought his was physical touch just because he's a boy, and a lot of guys think it's physical touch.
I thought Dakota's was too, and it's not. Yeah.
It's not. And his is definitely words of affirmation, and it's so funny. And now I'm like trying so hard.
It makes a big difference. It's hard though. I used to be so bad at words of affirmation, like in general. Like it's probably the Asian thing. I don't know, but I was like,
if anything, we were negative too. We'd be like,
totally.
There's something wrong with you.
Totally, but we loved the person with all our heart, but it was just not in our words.
Yeah.
And in time, I think just even being in like the Midwest and just like opened my eyes to that, because they use like a lot of pet names and just like very kind words, or they'll say less, if anything, like they just won't say as much. And I feel like that also kind of speaks to the whole like words of affirmation thing, where it's like you're just complimenting them and praising them and just like making them feel good. And that's all they want to hear.
Yeah. Which I guess to us, there's a part of the book where, you know, it's the really pushing through part, because let's say hugging is not your thing, but it's your partner's love language. And the person will automatically think, well, why am I doing something for you that doesn't make me happy? Yeah. You know? And then you're like, then I'm just forcing myself to not be myself around you. But it's not that. It's if you truly love the person, then you'll want them to be happy. And I feel like that is what you have to keep in mind, which goes back to passion in your business, because there's so many other things that you could, that like could come into your mind, so many other thoughts and so many, oh, well, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Oh, I hate gluing things together. And you just have to be like, no, my point is to get people to celebrate more. Like, and
Well, I feel like as adults, we learn to be intentional with what we do. And I feel like that's where this falls under, where it's like, because you are putting yourself outside of your comfort zone and doing something for someone else, you're being intentional with what you're wanting to fuel and what you're wanting to put food into or whatever, like whether it's your business or your relationship. Like, so yeah, even if there's elements of your business that you don't want to do because they're boring or they're not like what you're passionate about or what you're interested in, you readjust yourself because you're there for the business, you're there for the love. So it's like you're committed to that. So because of that, you're willing to push through that part and be intentional with your main goal. So like if your main goal is success in this relationship or in this business or whatever, then that's part of it. So you got to just do it. Like, but yeah, I think in the past, I would have probably viewed it as like, oh, you're being fake, or like, are you just trying to manipulate the situation by appealing to this or that when it's not genuine from your side? But I feel like once you come to the other side, I guess, of like maturity, you're like, okay, no, wait, like they're just being intentional. They're trying to like speak your terms. Like there's a whole other thing to it.
Well, it also, the book also differentiates, which I think you would really benefit from reading this. Just because Sasha's a very passionate person, but it differentiates the in-love phase with the relationship, which for the purposes of the book, a lot of people do the in-love phase and they usually get married in the in-love phase, and then they're stuck with what's after. Nowadays, I think it's a little different because you're in love, and they say it's usually within the first 2 years, but then you're in the serious part of the relationship, just because now I feel like people just are together longer before they get married. But, and it talks about all the highs of being in love, and you don't notice that they're not speaking your love language, or they are speaking your love language just to please you, but they don't notice they're doing it, so then they stop doing it after you're married. So I think he goes into like the scientific part of just being in love and like all the, hormones and whatever that come off that doesn't happen when you're married. But that doesn't mean you don't love the person, but people think they fall out of love with the person. There's no falling out of love. You fell out of love before you even got married. So I like that they differentiate that, because I think there is also a high from the passion in your business in the beginning too, because you're like,
I was just gonna say that.
I'm starting this. I made a logo. I made a website.
Yeah. Everything's a win, and then you later on you're like, oh no.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I gotta sell this now.
Gotta make a lot of money from this. Damn. I put in 50 hours and I made one sale.
Yeah. No, but all of a sudden next week you put in 20 hours and for some reason you made 5 sales, and all of a sudden, oh, I'm ready for the next week. And you're like, why is it so, like, why does it fluctuate so much? And I'm like,
yeah,
there's just no focus there, because the outside will always fluctuate. Anyway.
I think you're right, where it's like when you first start a business, there's a lot of passion behind it, and you're kind of in like the in-love phase where everything feels new and exciting, and it's like an adventure and it's like journey. And then I think in time, you're more familiar with all aspects of it, like the grit work, the passion side, the events, the connections, the networking, the store account, whatever it might be. Like, and now you're just kind of like, what's next?
Right. Well, that's why I think there's like a threshold almost. Like, I guess in the book it would be you would get married and have that kind of relationship where that you have to work on. So I think for a business, if you are getting married to it, meaning you're committed to this business, it needs to grow. Like, I think there's only so much you can do. Because in the in-love phase, I guess instead of all the hormones of like being with the person all the time, I feel like it's like you feel all this energy to work on it all the time.
Yeah.
But then there's so many things to work on because it's finally moving along. You can't just keep doing everything. I don't know. To me, I think for the kits and pieces, I'm in that in-between phase because I really feel like I want to keep it going. But, I mean, yeah, that's why I have my marketing friend, because I'm just like, I can't keep doing this by myself.
Right.
So yeah.
I think there could also be ways of like finding, or I guess going back to like the why, the passion, where it's like reigniting that in the early phases of business. And I don't know how that would fully play out, but I feel like that kind of happens whenever we come up with like new ideas, or I feel like that would happen to me whenever I come up with like a new flavor for Botana Bites, where it's like, you know, figuring it out, figuring out the recipe, testing it out, like all that stuff is like exciting and new. So I think there's elements or components of the business that can always still have that feeling, which is good. But yeah, and then I think it also connects to where you are personally, where like if personally you're not in the best place or you're kind of dealing with stuff, I think that also translates into where you're at with your business and how much your passion in your business is fueled or not fueled, or like the love language of it is fed or not fed.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there are peaks of whatever we think of something new. But again, I just think it's because we like creating, and I think it's a very specific trait
Yeah.
that we have. Sorry, I'm trying to explain that better, but I don't have a better explanation.
No, I think that makes total sense. I guess my brain was kind of like, I wonder if there would be like a book on like the 5 love languages and
Of business.
entrepreneurship. Yeah. Where it's like I look
Let's
back
hit
on
up Gary Chapman.
my favorite moments when I was doing Botana Bites, and it was the events because of the praise and the words of affirmation I received, but also like the quality time with the product and the people.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I wonder if that could be a new way of like feeding your passion in business too. It's like engaging in events that feed your love language, or engaging in activities in your business that feed your love language.
Yeah. Yeah, because I feel like there's no, the partner is your product.
Yeah.
There's no, there's no response from the product, like itself. I feel like it's, maybe its presence, you know, like at an event would encourage words of affirmation.
Right.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I feel like I'm going to think about that. Quality time with my product.
I know. I'm like, what would that mean for quality time or gift giving or acts of service? Like, I don't know.
Well, gift giving, I think, is pretty straightforward. I feel like that's like when you get an order. Because you feel like
that's true. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
But quality time, I think, is the time making it, which maybe, since that's your love language, and you didn't enjoy making it,
then it didn't work out. That's so true, though. I enjoyed like thinking of it, but not actually baking. So that would make a lot of sense. Look at this.
Yeah,
and then words of affirmation could even be like testimonials or like reviews, like, and maybe just like if an entrepreneur was like a words of affirmation type of love language, then they could just like make sure they always check that out, or like ask people for testimonials or reviews, or like, you know, feed themselves by like looking into that often.
Right. And I honestly think it's interesting because, like, even though the quality time would keep me going with the business, the words of affirmation inevitably will make you feel amazing. But again, I feel like if words of affirmation is your main love language, then you wouldn't want to even keep going if no one ever praised you about it.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah. But to me, I'm like, I have 12 reviews on my Etsy. And I'm like, I'm okay to keep going.
Right. I see what you mean. Yeah.
That is interesting.
That is.
I like this.
I know.
We're gonna do our 5 love languages of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Thanks, book.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. Your article is also very nice.
I linked it in the video.
I guess to conclude it, in terms of like why we brought this up, it's just that I think it's a little bit more in depth than just, oh, I love my idea, or I really care about baking or crafting. Like, it needs to be a why. There needs to be a why, like you said. And the how may change, meaning you need to apply a love language to it in order to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, yeah, and I feel like a lot of people, and I'm just going to outright say this. And I just want to bring up that because I said this to Sasha the other day, but I saw a commercial. I think it was like a T-Mobile Magenta Edge. I think it's like a either business line or business plan, whatever. But they said the line of, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. And it was interviewing all these like quick bits of entrepreneurs. And one of the girls was like, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. And I was like, that's like freaking Sasha's line.
Yeah.
Like, you have to run the business for 10 years. And I'm just like, they're saying that on a commercial. That means everybody's freaking running a business now. And I am saying it right now, as soon as like things go back to normal, like I would say 80% of the people are going to drop out of whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So you just have to be in the 20%.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, another thing I like to say, which is probably not that meaningful because it's so simple, but to me it means a lot, is like the only difference between you and someone else is that they did it and you didn't. Like, that's the only difference, technically. There's other differences, but like the main difference is just that they did it and you didn't. So it's like, just do it.
Or they did it first.
Mm-hmm.
Or they did it better.
Or they did it better or for longer or whatever. But they did it and you didn't. Like, let's say you continue doing it for 20 years. I mean, that's like, then you did it. But I feel like the difference is that they did it.
And it's funny because I think the biggest thing behind having so much passion is I feel like you have a huge amount of doubt that lingers somewhere there because you care about it so much that everything is a risk.
Yeah.
And I feel like everyone should just know that you can't risk your passion.
Yeah.
The passion will still be there. A business is just a business, and you need to make educated risks.
Yeah.
Trial and error episode, check that out. You need to make educated decisions and take risks, or you're never going to make it. The reason that I see certain party supplies in Target that are, I would say, not just mainstream, like it's a specific crafter girl or whatever that made it into Target. And I'm like, because she did it. And she took the risk to make the jump. You can't just sit here in your little bubble with your passion, but a whole big ball of risk, or a whole big ball of doubt, and think that, oh yeah, I did it for 20 years. Well, this bitch did it for 5 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're right.
I'm just saying in general, but anyway, definitely a fun episode today. That was actually very nice. Good job, team. Also, can I just say, as a best friend, I'm very proud that Sasha willingly is wearing all of this.
I know, it's because of you. Only for you, I'm telling you.
Oh my gosh.
Kat changed me. I'm also wearing makeup because of you. Like, there's a lot going on here that's from Kat.
Oh my gosh. This is totally TMI, but this is a moment of Sasha in my life. I got a pimple, and I was like, oh my God, tea tree oil.
Yes.
My first thought in my head. So, thank you to you too.
I don't know. I'm like, should we always wear outfits when we come to these?
I know. I'm like, well, this was a very specific
thing,
but I'm not against it. And can we also just give a shout out to this Lumix here?
Yes.
My camera, like it's amazing. Wow.
I know.
I never thought I would really like a non-DSLR camera.
I know. I've been doing a lot of research, and everyone loves those more than DSLRs.
It's the new
Like
DSLR.
they're winning. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're winning. And I think it's because they're so compact. They're smaller and they're easier to like move around and bring with you everywhere.
They also have the custom settings where it's still automatic, but it's almost like it's not.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of like the DSLR with less work.
Yeah. I feel like the lenses for DSLRs are a little different where like I just feel like the images are just different looking. They're just something different. They're like less digital or digitized. But
right. But it also takes a lot more work.
Oh yeah. And the lenses are so expensive. I mean, that's like crazy.
I guess to me this is just the regular whatever, I don't know what it's called. The regular
G7.
lens. No, the lens itself is the, the 35.
Lens,
yeah, kit lens. And then we got the macro lens. I haven't even used that one on this. I mean, because it would be like right here. But I was honestly really amazed with that one because a macro lens is so expensive for a DSLR, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the lens, yeah, in general is expensive. So to have two lenses for your DSLR is like,
I know.
And so we bought the camera plus the kit lens and the macro lens was probably like less than $600. I'm like,
I know. I want to buy this. I found a Sony camera that I want to get, but I want to sell my Nikon before I buy that one because I like to flip stuff. But there's no takers.
I know. Wait, you should post it on Facebook. My
friend. I did.
Oh, I didn't even see it.
I mean, it's in Marketplace. I don't know if it's like linked. I mean, it is attached to me, but I don't know that it shows up in like
post it on like a post and be like, DM me if you want it. Oh. My friend sold I bought her lens because she posted it like that.
I'm gonna do that.
And yeah, we're going this week. We're doing a garage purge. So our house is clean now. Like, we finished this office for the most part. There is a photo shoot coming soon for this office. So that's exciting. But we're doing a garage cleaning, but all the things that we want to sell are in the garage. So I feel like I'm going to be doing a big Facebook blast soon.
Yeah.
Buy my stuff! Well, I wonder, I guess Facebook Marketplace is open, but OfferUp I used to use a lot. And in the beginning of the pandemic, they were just like, you are not allowed to sell right now because of interaction purposes.
There's so many scams on that. Like I used it recently to look for MacBooks and stuff, and every other ad was a scam. I mean, it was like unreal. But it probably depends on the area too.
No, you're right. Or maybe the product, because you were looking for like a nice... I've only ever sold like furniture on it. So, but yes, very exciting week. I'll let you all know how the networking event goes. I need to check my hotkeys on this. I tried to do screen changes and it was like, nope.
Oh gosh.
We didn't have technical difficulties today. It was just that Cattleya thought she could set it up faster than she could because there are a lot of moving parts to the setup.
I know. I appreciate you doing that.
Well, the hardware wasn't too bad. It was just when we opened it, I was like, there's still a couple of things that I didn't notice that Chris did for me last time that I missed. And I was like, where is it? But yeah, I feel super excited about SATC and we're slowly building our community. We're trying our very hardest here and we would love any thoughts and feedback or questions from anyone. Even if you watch this video later, leave a comment, send us an email, a DM, whatever you want. And also join our Facebook group. There's a link everywhere. Find us on Instagram. And we have a link tree now, as per Sasha's great doing here. I think next time we'll show a little screen share of the Facebook group so that y'all can join. But we really want to keep the community going of just an open forum of asking questions and just sharing what you're doing on your biz, because sometimes there's just no feedback. And if you all know anything, feedback is one of the most important things. They tell you to interview people to see what they even want, but then you should check in with your friends to just get feedback. Advice and feedback, I think, well, I guess that's the same, but no, it's a little different.
Wait, what do you mean?
I guess if some people just like avoid getting advice because I feel like sometimes we say like, oh, we just get too many thoughts. But also sometimes you work alone and you think this is a great thing, or maybe you're missing something and you can't find the solution, but maybe it's just because you just need to talk to someone about it.
True. Right.
We are that someone, and we assure you all your ideas will stay private in the group, and I promise I won't steal your idea.
Yes, please interact.
Yes, like Sasha says with her cute little heart headband.
I love this thing.
So Sasha and I this is the last note for me, but we're hoping to maybe meet up with each other soon, and hopefully we can do that over a Monday of some sort, or if not, maybe we'll do a special episode. But my birthday's in March, and hopefully we can gather up some funds there and maybe meet in Louisville, which is such an interesting city, by the way.
I just want to go anywhere that still has live music. Like, that's all.
Oh, then you gotta come here.
Yeah.
But I hate making you drive so far.
I will do it for you and for music.
For music. Well, last time Sasha visited, and if you catch, I think it's episode 4, Sasha visited and we were working hard, so we didn't even go anywhere. It was still also like, whoa, COVID. But
it's better there now, right? Like, they have events and stuff going on.
Things are coming back. Like, let's see if I go to this thing on Thursday, meaning like if Wednesday night they don't go, oh, it's canceled, it's virtual now.
Right.
But if I'm able to go to that, I will definitely update you. But yeah. I mean, Chris is still working weddings. They're mostly not in downtown, though. I would say like 90% are not in downtown because of the restrictions.
Yeah.
But he did have a couple like in downtown, like last week was in downtown, and I feel like it's starting to come back. Everyone's saying there's going to be this huge boom, but part of me is just like, it can only boom so much. There's only so many dates available in a year.
I know.
Like, how many Saturdays? You know, everyone's like, oh, everyone's going to get married, and it's just like, there are only so many Saturdays in a year, and you're only going to get married on Friday or a Sunday, if not Saturday, and there are only so many venues. Like,
right.
Unless you want to get married on a Tuesday.
Yeah, that's true.
So, anyway. And then
I know live music is not a thing here, but I mean, Columbus isn't known for live music, so that's why I feel like Nashville would still make exceptions, even though COVID's going on. But I don't know, maybe not.
But you know, they do allow live music. I just think some cities are just not live music cities. Like here, we depend on it just because our name is the Music City. So we're gonna find a way to put music however possible. Right. But some venues are still not doing it just because they don't want to pay musicians, and they're still not making a ton of money. Like if they can only seat at 50%, why are they gonna pay for musicians?
Yeah.
So
no, that's true.
And then I mean, some people are just doing duos, so the liveliness of it is a little bit different, meaning like the energy. I feel like the energy in the venues are a little bit different. We went to this Wild Horse Saloon, which is a super popular Nashville ridiculous bar club, I would say. I mean, it was so awkwardly empty just because of the 50%, but normally it's known for like line dancing and all that, and there's just like this empty dance floor and then this huge like stage with lights and a full band, but 50% of people in the whole thing. And it's just like,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
So sad. And he's like rocking out on stage and we're just like,
gosh.
So yes, there's music. The energy, a little bit different. But I will say one of the places we like to go to is like a jazz type of place. So a duo does fit into that, and I would love to take you there. So, anyway, next week we're talking about, we're about to head out now, but next week we're talking about actually owning your business. I feel like we never talked about that.
Yes. The legal things and everything else involved. And that'll be Monday at 12.
Yes. 12 p.m. Eastern time, right here live on YouTube. And if you were looking to start a business and you're like, or you've already started and you're like, okay, but I didn't register anything. We will give you a short list of what you should have to at least be a real person.
Yeah. The next talk or meeting, I don't know what we really want to call these.
I know. Is it a show? Is it a podcast? I was thinking.
I don't know. Maybe we can get feedback on that. It will be a little more concrete in terms of what's needed for starting a business, which I actually have to revisit whenever I get my license for acupuncture. So it'll be good to have it on my radar.
I was thinking about it because one of our entrepreneurial friends here asked me recently about her taxes, and I was just like, oh yeah, there's that aspect of it.
Oh yeah, there is.
Oh yeah, there is. So yeah, we're here like, passion. But we're like, oh no, we do our taxes too.
Yeah, we do all that stuff. Those things.
Yeah, which is perfect because I'm gonna be working on mine pretty soon, so it'd be fresh on my mind. But yay, team. Well, thanks for joining. And we'll catch you all next time. We are Sasha and the cat. Woo! Woo! How do I end this story of my life?